Welcome my dear learners to online learning platform of Sri Basava Public School. In previous session we have started an inspirational story of Stephen Hawking, a great legendary scientist who had written a book which is called A Brief History of Time, which was also one of the best sellers ever lived here. Children, disabled. The story is all about differently abled or disabled people where the interaction is happening in between Firdaus Kanga and Stephen Hawking, great scientist and astrophysicist. In previous session, we have studied that the time where Firdaus Kanga got a chance of meeting and interacting with Stephen Hawking when he was on a walking tour of Cambridge. Yes, children. There he asked few questions to Stephen Hawking and he was also responding very good with the help of his computer. Children, lastly when I ended the chapter, that time Firdaus Kanga was stuck to the smile of Stephen Hawking. Yes, and he told here that it was one of the most beautiful smile of men in the world. Children, let's start the second part, reading and explanation of the chapter A Visit to Cambridge. A first glimpse of him is shocking because he is like a still photograph, as if all those pictures of him in magazines and newspapers have turned three-dimensional. Then you see the head twisted sideways into a slump, the torso shrunk inside the pale blue shirt, the wasted legs. You look at his eyes which can speak still and they are saying something huge and urgent. It is hard to tell what, but you are shaken because you have seen something you never thought could be seen. Underline the word glimpse, it means look, and underline the word slump, it means fall limply or heavily. Slump means fall limply or heavily. And yes children, here in the stanza, now this paragraph about the paragraph Firdaus Kanga had described Stephen Hawking physically appearance, and also he is saying that if you look at him, the first look of him is very shocking because he is absolutely still, means without any movement, just like a photograph. How we see photographs, same he was looking like. And it seems all the pictures of him as come in magazines or newspapers, he looked like a statue when he was sitting on that wheelchair, and one could see his head always sideways because it did not have the strength to be upside or straight. The upper part of his body was shrunk because it is very weak, and one could understand that the legs which he has, those were wasted. But here if you look at his eyes, it could speak. You can understand that they were speaking and they could speak, and they were so expressive that they wanted to speak the huge and urgent. He could speak through his eyes, but if you look at him, you will be shocked because you will never thought such kind of a great personality can have this kind of physical appearance. So in this paragraph, Firdaus Kanga was talking about physical appearance of Stephen Hawking. Before you like a lantern whose walls are so thin you glimpse only the light inside, is the incandescence of a man. The body, almost irrelevant, exists only like a case made of shadows, so that I, no believer in eternal souls, know that this is what each of us is, everything else an accessory. What do you think is the best thing about being disabled? I had asked him earlier. I don't think there is anything good about being disabled, he answered. Children, first underline the word, lantern. It is a lamp. And underline the word incandescence, it means inner glow or a light. Okay. And underline the word own, it means used or old. Own, it means use or old. And eternal, it means very lasting. Everlasting, it means everlasting. And another word, irrelevant, unimportant. Irrelevant means unimportant. And accessory, it means not essential. Okay. Here in this paragraph, Firdaus Kanga was talking about the eternal soul of people, and he considered the body parts and the body as essential accessory. If we doesn't have any part of body, it doesn't stop you to achieve great goals in your mind. And also he had given a lantern example which was old and very thick. Then what will be highlighted there? There will be the highlighted was inner glow of a man. Yes, and the body, it was almost irrelevant. Exist of a shadow. It is only because it is only important of a shadow. It is almost irrelevant. He was talking about the eternal souls comparing by the external accessories. And after that, he asked a question to Stephen Hawking. What do you think is the best about being disabled? He asked earlier to him. Then he replied, no, nothing is good best in about being disabled. Let's see what happens in the next paragraph. I think I said, you do discover how much kindness there is in the world. Yes, he said. It was a disadvantage of his wise synthesizer that it could convey no inflection, no shades or a tone, and I could not tell how enthusiastically he agreed with me. Every time I shifted in, let me explain that paragraph. Children, when I asked that what is good, what do you think, what is best of being disabled? Then he replies, I don't think so any best you will find in being disabled. He also agreed here. Firdaus Kanga also agreed, and yes, I think, I said. And also he said, we can find too much kindness in this world. He agreed, yes. And he is talking about his machine, which is conveying the emotions, feelings of the great scientist Stephen Hawking through the words. But the problem is it can't express the tone, it can't express the inflection or any shade in talking. Yes, so and also he can tell you that how greatly, how excitedly he was agreeing with me. He can't express that. Firdaus Kanga can't express how excitedly he was agreeing with the words of him. Every time I shifted in my chair or turned my wrist watch to watch the time, I wanted to make every one of our 30 minutes count. I felt a huge relief and exhilaration in the possibilities of my body. How little it mattered then that I would never walk or even stand. Yes, children, when he was talking and interacting with Stephen Hawking, Firdaus Kanga was looking, turning, and he was, as you know, that he is also disabled man. So he was watching the time, whether it is completed or what. And because he wanted to utilize each and every minute of this 30 minutes, and he wanted to enjoy that time or feel completely that movement with the Stephen Hawking. And also he felt very relieved and very excited, very happy by having that movement with him. And now nothing happens, nothing matters to him that he can't walk and he can't stand. By sitting on wheelchair itself, he achieved a great thing in his life. So children, I told him how he had been an inspiration beyond click for me, and surely for others did that thought help him. The underline the word click, it means it is a phrase which is it is an idea which so often that it loses its meaning. So here in this stanza, he was also expressing, here is this paragraph, he was also expressing his feelings towards the Stephen Hawking and how his life was inspiration for everybody in the life. And did that thought help him? He asked a question, that inspiration which you are giving to everybody in the world has ever helped you? That thought of inspiration, being inspired by everyone has helped you any moment? He replied, no, he said. And I thought how foolish I was to ask. When he replied no, when he asked a question, the thought of being inspiration for everybody has helped him, he said no. Then he felt himself, Firdaus Kanga felt himself that I was a foolish for asking that question. When your body is a claustrophobic room and the walls are growing narrower by day, it doesn't do much good to know that there are people outside smiling with admiration to see you breathing still. Yeah, and also he realizes that the body which you have, which is claustrophobic, it is a name of a disease, very small and suffocating. There are very restricted limits, and you are being in a room in the four walls, and the walls are growing every day by day narrower, and it doesn't matter for you too much. It doesn't matter for you that the people who are living outside and smiling by seeing you still breathing. Is there any advice you can give disabled people, something that might help make life better? they should concentrate on what they are good at. I think things like the disabled Olympics are a waste of time. Children, after that, he asked another question. Will you give any advice for the people, disabled people, which help them to make their life better? Then he replied, very simply he replied here, they should concentrate on what they are good at, on what they are good to do. And also he mentioned here, disabled Olympics are waste of time according to him. I know what you mean. I remembered the years I would spend trying to play a Spanish guitar considerably larger than I was, and how gleefully I had unstringed it one night. Yes, children, he is when he said that, after that he said here, Firdos Kanga was expressing his feelings about his learning of guitar, where he was learning guitar, Spanish guitar, which was comparatively him, which was larger, and he was very happily learning and playing that one night. After expressing his guitar story with him, he was watched that the half an hour was about to complete. The half hour was up. I think I have annoyed you enough, I said, grinning. Thank you for. Stay, I waited. Have some tea. I can show you the garden. The garden was as big as a park, but Stephen Hawking covered every inch, rumbling along in his motorized wheelchair while I dodged to keep out of the way. We could not talk very much. The sun made him silent, the letters on his screen disappearing in the glare. Children, when it was about to complete, when he completed the time, he said, I think I have irritated you enough. Now it's over. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk with you. Then Stephen Hawking replied, stay, wait. Then he waited and he said, have some tea. I will show you my garden. Then both of them, they went to the garden, which was too big as a park. It was not garden. It was looking like a park, big park. And Stephen and Firdos Kanga both went into the park of Stephen Hawking, where he enjoyed, but they did not talk too much. And slowly, the moment the silence was appearing, and the letters which was on the screen of computer of Stephen was disappearing in the glare. Next, when they were in the garden, when they were in the park, they did not talk too much. An hour later, we were ready to leave. I did not know what to do. I could not kiss him or cry. I touched his shoulder and wheeled out into the summer evening. I looked back and I knew he was waving, though he wasn't. Watching him, an embodiment of my bravest self, the one I was moving towards, the one I had believed in for so many years alone. I knew that my journey was over for now. Firdos Kanga. When they spent an hour in the garden in the park of Stephen Hawking, the time came of living both. He was mixed with the emotions. He was happy of meeting great scientist, and also he was sad of leaving him. He can't do anything with him. He can't kiss him. He can't shake hand. So he just touched his shoulder and said him bye at that summer evening. I looked back when I was moving, and I felt he was knowing that Stephen Hawking was waving his hand. He is saying bye, but though it was not physically, emotionally he was saying bye to him. Watching him, it was a great pleasure. It was a bravest soul. He was a bravest soul, and I was very I was very happy, and I was very. I felt I am a man who got a chance to interact with the Stephen Hawking. So he was happy. Now he was moving towards, and he believed for so many years alone, and now. After interacting with the Stephen Hawking, he said, now my journey was fulfilled, over now. I achieved everything in my life. So this is the last paragraph was talking about complete emotions of Firdos Kanga when he was living Stephen Hawking. Both were emotional, and he was happy of getting the chance of meeting him. I hope you understand, children. If you have any doubts, you can send me a message. I'll clear your doubts. Thank you once again for watching this video.